Welcome to explainED. Today we have Michael Morrison, all the way from California. We're really branching out. Michael, so the first thing that we ask people usually is for you to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your journey, and also tell us about what AI means to you.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm currently the CTO for Laguna Beach Unified School District. And I came about it through being a teacher. So I used to be a teacher a long time ago. And I also started a company that I ran and sold. So I have kind of a couple different perspectives on technology that make my experience a little unique in my position. And in Laguna, what AI means to us, we actually are one of the 5th districts that were an open AI EDU district in the nation. So we've had it for quite a while. And we started out kind of thinking of it as a efficiency tool, but it's kind of become more of a thought partner. I think that's when I think of AI, that's what I think of. A tool to express creativity and to make us more human.
So I heard a rumor that you all started your own AI tool as part of this journey. And
yeah.
I wondered if you could talk a little bit about, like, that feels huge and awesome. Just kind of talk about what was the impetus for that and how did it develop? Was it an organic process? Just tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we over 2 years ago when AI was just starting, we had Stanford come down and do a survey with our students from middle and high school and our teachers. And we found out 2 things that concerned us. One was the kids were feeling guilty about using AI. And the other one was the teachers were feeling like they had to be suspicious and be police and patrol, like who's using it and are they cheating? So this is the worst culture I think that we can create in our schools, is to have this suspicion and guilt. And so the thing that really made me really decide we needed to do something was I was at this conference in Palm Springs for mostly computer using educators, but a lot of different educators. And one of the teachers was so proud, and she said, "Hey, I figured out how to, a trick to catch kids cheating, So I paste in describe an elephant in clear text into my assignment. And then the kids, they'll paste in their answer into the answer, and it'll describe an elephant, and I'll be able to catch them cheating." And I thought, this is pure evil. This is like, we didn't get into teaching to do this, right? This is not why are you teaching? You should stop, is what I thought in my head. That's not a trusting relationship, and that's probably going to encourage more cheating, because you have this kind of adversarial relationship of, I'm trying to catch you cheating, which is not what we wanted. So we built a tool called AI Trust You, and it's a simple tool. It's a Google add-on and extension, and it's in Docs. And essentially, when you're a student, you go in and it's not like a citation, because AI changes every time you request something of it. But it's more like the techniques you use. So when you go in as a student, you say, well, I used AI. These are the tools I used. And then I used it. It helped me about this much, which is really subjective. But then it gets into like 4 different categories of the ways you used it. Like, did you use it for brainstorming or to get unstuck, is one of our responses. Once they finish, describing that, then it creates a little of citation, I guess you'd call it, but a little group text that you can paste into their assignment. So that's on the student side. And then on the teacher side, it creates an assignment guideline for the students with best practices in there. So like if a teacher says, hey, I'm going to let you use AI for research, it's going to tell the student in the text that they might want to find one other source because AI is not the ideal place to find, to cite as a source. So that's really the tool. It's very simple, but it's creating more of a dialogue between the students and teachers versus like this guilt and suspicion culture. And one of the things that surprised me is it really took off. We have 148,000 installs and about 200 districts using it. So that's only been in 3 months. So I know I can tell this is a pain point for districts and schools, especially high school. So what do you think?
I'm interested. Renee showed your tool to me, and one thing I immediately thought of is just by using it, people, like you said, it encouraged dialogue, but it also creates like a language container for people, so they can. You've also, just by using your extension, I feel like they would, or add-on rather, but they would, students and teachers would get like common vocabulary and common language around discussing AI and kind of have a place to start. Was that like your intention when you were designing it? Like, did you have to think carefully about wording and phrases?
Yes, totally. We really wanted to have a tool where we could have a similar language. Like one of the options in the tool is to create a persona, right? And that is a best practice. So we wanted to put that in there because when we look at the stats, we'll see like our students using that technique. And if they're not using it, then why not? We need to do more training. So it really does build that vocabulary. And then on the back end, the stats can help us shape our staff development for our teachers. We still are refining those words and those categories. We have one district that's going to be using this, and they have 2 more categories. And so we're going to give some flexibility for districts to customize those. Right now, you can customize the tools, but we don't have a built-in way for you to customize the categories. So that'll be coming.
One thing that, oh, go ahead, Renee.
I work at a high school, and this is probably exactly what my teachers have been asking me for. I'm curious, I know it hasn't been around that long, but can you tell us a little bit about the feedback you've received from students and teachers on the tool? And are you looking at like measurable impacts of the tool?
So we've done a little bit of work on this, but it's pretty small. So we had a classroom use the tool, and then we interviewed each student that used it in the class. They all used it. And we just were checking to see if they were showing integrity. If what they said they were doing was really what they did on the assignment. And it was almost 100% accuracy. It was so close. And that really encouraged us, because I think when you allow kids to be integrity, they want to do that. The feeling that the kids get is relief. That's what they told me. It's like, I can really be honest about what I'm doing. And that's kind of like a pretty amazing thing, that something so simple, or a technique. I mean, even if you didn't use our tool, this technique is pretty simple, and you could deploy it without it. But I feel like the tool is nice, and it's simple, and it's free. The only thing that we would ever charge for is maybe the statistics on the back end, because there's some setup involved.
I have a question for you, Michael. So one of the phrases that we've been kicking around is this element of cognitive lift guilt. So with educators in particular, we see that fear of cheating and that catching, and I really like how you characterize that. Along with that, it's almost like a smokescreen that prevents them from engaging, or can prevent them from engaging in using AI for good. And And what we've seen is, in our experiences locally, is that some educators feel if they use AI to do something better for kids, they're taking a shortcut in some way, and there's this guilt that they haven't, spent 3 hours on something, that they've always spent 3 hours on something. With the new AI that you've built, and has that opened the door for educators that are kind of in that camp to really engage in new learning and feel safer going into the use of AI in their classrooms?
I think there's more that would need to be done in that area as far as staff development and training. We still have teachers that don't allow it in our classrooms, so we're not perfect. But there is this feeling like, what are the areas you could allow it? And would it be productive and like helpful for the students? I mean, a lot of what people are using AI now for are things we use Google for, to search. So there are things about it that don't, fully write the paper for you or the essay or whatever you're wanting them to do. So I think making it more of a process is what we're thinking, and building some training materials that go along with the tool. So Stanford has offered to help us build like a guidebook. And so we're going to be working with them to try to build that out and see what we can do. But to me, it's more the philosophy behind the tool. It's not so much the tool. It's like, if you're going to allow it, how are you going to allow it? Let's be honest about it. Let's talk about it. If you said 100% the AI did this thing for me, as a teacher, I might sit down and say, oh, well, maybe that's a little too much. Like, let's talk about like, how do you get to be involved in this process of learning? So, but I think it does open the door for that.
Yeah. You, at the beginning, you mentioned you're seeing it being used as a thought partner. Can you like elaborate on that slightly?
Yeah. So we started using AI, and our superintendent said, hey, I want you to play. And I thought, what a great idea, because that's how we learn. So we started thinking of it to get us to be connected with each other. So we took Berkeley's 36 questions for closeness. I don't know if you've seen those, but they've been proven, like if you ask them of each other, at the end of those questions, you're going to have more empathy for each other. And lots of studies have shown these have worked. And so we took those questions and we applied them to see if AI could enhance them. We said, okay, how can AI help us to become closer? So one of the questions is, describe your perfect day, right? So if you're going to describe your perfect day, what better tool than Suno, like a music creation tool? So we made songs about our perfect day, and then you get this picture in your head of that song. So like the thought is that AI is coming alongside us to accomplish our goals. So if we want to be more connected as a school or as a district, then we're going to use proven techniques, but AI is going to be like that creativity spark or that way to help us explain things better. It doesn't take over from the connection piece, because it's your perfect day. It's not AI's perfect day. And so that's kind of how I'm thinking about it. It does improve efficiency, but what I found with me, I don't know if you feel the same, guys, but when I use AI, it frees up time for me to use more AI. I'm not finding like I'm getting more time in my day. And maybe it's me trying to be more intentional about that and say, like, if I use AI, I'm saving time here. How can I spend that time for a better purpose? So my concern is like, we're not going to have the 2-day work week. Like people are saying, it's just going to make us more productive. I don't really think that's great as far as like being human. I mean, it's nice that we're more productive, but unless we can free up time to connect with each other better, or unless AI is helping us see each other's humanity and helping us be creative or doing something that's really productive for us as people, I think we're heading down a wrong path on that.
So in that vein, what would you are at a place where we currently are not in our school districts with this conversation, and I really appreciate the human side of things that you're talking about. But if you had to give advice based on your journey now to school districts that are just starting out this conversation, what are some key things that you would advise?
So I know districts want to start with guidelines because it's like this magnet for like, oh, let's start a committee and make some rules about how AI should be used. But you really don't know that because AI is new all the time. Like I'm discovering things that I didn't know about it right now, this week with VO3. It's just amazing. So I think the guidelines are important, and I'm not saying you wouldn't need them, but I would start with play. I would say, can we play with AI together and learn more about each other? That would be where I would start. And then I would go into like, okay, now what are the main things you're going to use it for? Efficiency as a teacher, you're going to use it in class to model, and you're going to have the kids use it. Those are the must. Those are things that you must do, right? If you're going to deploy it. So I would start a small group of teachers that are ready to try things out. I would work with them on playing with it and having fun. And then I would deploy it out that way. The other thing we did is we do lunch and learns in our district. We find it's a little cheaper than actually paying teacher hourly. We could get them in for lunch. And so every month we have at least one lunch and learn at every site. And those are well attended. Over half of the staff attends those at each site. So that's a really easy technique. I think putting it in smaller chunks than doing like, oh, we're going to do a day of AI, that just you just can't remember. So at every leadership meeting, we have 10 minutes, 15 minutes of AI, and it's baked into the schedule. So to me, that's the way you just need to make a part of like who you are, your DNA. And it isn't like a thing that you go to and learn. Like AI literacy, like I would like to meet somebody who's literate in AI. Like I don't know. I'm not. I mean, it isn't something that's easy to define. And I would say I would focus more on, hey, what can you do with it? Let's get some really good examples. That's the best way to go.
You just answered the question I was going to ask you. We've talked about the term AI literacy and how we feel like it's not really a great term. We've had some really interesting conversations about it, but so I guess my question was about, what do you think about the term, but also in preparing, like, I guess, what's your secret? You're getting people wanting to attend and wanting to learn. I guess what would be your advice for those of us who maybe have a bigger community that's a little more hesitant or skeptical of even taking that time to play with the tool or try it out? What would be your advice?
Well, I guess don't take yourself so seriously. like I think part of this, like when we do a lot with just enjoying learning about each other. So one of the things that we do is a nostalgia. We pick one of the image generators in AI, and you have to build an image of something in your past that was really important to you. And then you share that out with each other. This kind of thing isn't so much about AI, but it's about the memory you had. And people, like, if you start to do things like that, they're going to go, oh, okay, well, yeah, I could describe that memory. And some people, it's really touching for them. Like they even tear up because it's like that memory is so important to them. And the AI does a pretty good job of showing it sometimes. And I think when they share that out, it's more about the people than the tool. And I guess that's what I would focus on is like, how can you use AI to bring people closer together and not talk about AI? Like, just make that the minor thing, make the people the major thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just want you to fix us. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. Yeah. No, that's great. That's fantastic. What's really interesting is I think from the outside, hearing these stories, like even we did this, we started asking you about the AI tool that you made and all of that. But everything you're saying is about the human element, which is really genuinely impressive. And it's a I don't want to call it an angle because that sounds like a strategy. It isn't, but it's a great leverage point for the conversation when you center it on that. Have you done anything specific around introducing concepts of bias or bias awareness in that human element and bringing in that component of anti-racism and that kind of work?
A little bit. We've done with AI Trust You. I've been talking to teachers about AI detection tools that don't work, as you know, I hope. But if you're an English learner and you use an AI detection tool, you're going to be more flagged as using more AI than a non-English learner, and that's our most vulnerable people, And to me, that's just a reason not to use that tool. As far as bias within AI, we have talked to teachers because we do unit design and we weave AI into unit design. That's really a good way to get it going, kind of like UDL if you guys use that. But when we do that, we have them create a unit, and the unit is so teacher centric. It's very biased on like what the collective would say a unit is, collective. So it's not really student centered. And so they can identify that. So I think being critical about the results and saying, what are you getting? What kind of bias does it have? And its bias is like a teacher-centric unit is what it's giving them. So you have to tell it to not do that. Like you have to say, do not, make this student-centered, allow the students to have choice. All of the things that you want it to do, you need to start to prompt it because it is biased in that way. And so those are some of the things we worked on, but then it's fairly minor of what we've done with that, detecting bias.
I wouldn't say that's minor. I think that's pretty major.
Thanks. Yeah, I actually like talking to teachers about this because it makes them reflect on what a great unit is, and so if they put in the AI, make this unit and we analyze it, it's like, okay, that's not that great. So what would make it great? And I think that helps them frame what they're building.
All right, Michael, we're definitely going to need another session with you because you're taking us places that are making us spin. I really am looking forward to the three of us offline doing the 36 questions of closeness because I'd like to see how close I can get to Sean. We're not jiving very well lately, so that could be really helpful. No, but I sincerely appreciate bringing in this human element to it all. It's really kind of a fascinating discussion that we've heard little bits of this, but how you are centering it and everything that you're doing is really impressive. So genuinely grateful for that conversation. I did have a question for you about human connection and everything. I was checking out your story today on LinkedIn, and my connect request is still pending after about a week. So just if you're going to walk the walk,
I will accept your request. I'm sorry about that.
When we couldn't get on the meet, Sean says, "Hey, can you message him?" I'm like, "Nope, he hasn't connected with me yet." So
I'm a weekly LinkedIn user, so I'm not. But yeah. I did start an AI little blog. It's called Bonds AI, like a small tip, like a bonsai, and
like a bonsai tree.
Yeah. So I'm publishing them about once a week, and they're really small tips, usually education focused. The last one I did, I think you guys will like it. It's a third grade example of they're studying adaptations in school, and so they had to find three animals with adaptations, and then they got to create their new animal that was had all three adaptations with an AI image generator, and then we animated those. So you got to go check them out. They're really cool to see.
That's
So,
awesome.
but that it just shows you another way. Like a third grader, you wouldn't think would use AI, but that this really helped them define. Like when they first put in the prompt, it didn't come out with what they wanted, so they had to refine their prompt. Well, it's not blue. Well, you got to tell it to be blue. Like it made kids better, like use more descriptive words, and really help them with language arts as well.
I love that.
Yeah. Where is that blog? How can we get to that?
It's in my LinkedIn. So once I friend you, you'll see.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to that.
It'll happen today. I'll make sure. Sorry about that, Mark.
No, thank you very, very much for this. This was fantastic. We want to honor your time. So
yeah, I'd love to come back, and it's great talking to you. I'd love to ask you guys some questions too at some point, offline maybe.
Yeah,
you guys
we can do that
Anytime.
Yeah. Is it about Bigfoot?
No, but if you
By
have
chance?
if you have info on it.
Oh, Michael, you don't know what you just opened up for yourself.
Once we go in, we're going in.
I'm shutting the recording off now, Mike.